Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your monthly peace report for Virgo season 2024. I am your host, the Peace Dealer, and thank you for being live and present. I don't believe in accidents. If you're here, you're chancing upon some exclusive shit. And if you've watched me, disclaimer, this is not cap, okay? But I'm breaking this down in a way you're not gonna hear anyone else break this down. So, shout out to you guys who have been supporting me by literally just tuning in. You don't really need to do much. So, for those of you who actually tune in and show love, thank you very much. It is well appreciated and received every single time you all comment on the Magic Moon messages and really just share how these messages and transit reports and analysis and insights help you. It means the world to me. Money cannot buy that. Anyway, welcome to what I call the final integration arc. Okay. We're going to break down the mathematics. There is some very, very seriously, just, mm, just legit mechanics and mathematics that we will be experiencing this season. So, as far as those of you wanting to experience real change, that's what Virgo season is for every year. I'm going to really break down how the cycles we activated in March and June will play into this cycle. You live in a society of people who will roll their eyes at you when you discuss your moon sign, not even recognizing the legitimacy of the exact degree that their moon sign is in. Talk less of house and sign. When you ask these people behind their reasoning, they'll give you hearsay. They'll talk about research another scientist has done. Did you notice people who try and debunk astrology never have any research done on themselves? It's almost as if they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And they piggyback off of hearsay, which was heavily biased relative to the research done against it, and can't really tell you anything significant. It's literally someone who doesn't know algebra trying to tell you that calculus isn't real, and yet they don't know algebra, right? They don't know what aspects are. They've never read a natal chart. So this really, in this Pluto Aqua era, is emboldening y'all with these modalities. I know certain people do human design. This is the type of energy where psychology was not always recognized, versus now more they teach college courses on this. Don't be surprised when you see astropsychology, astrology, when you see these modalities further, pushed, maybe in a bad way, where now it's like, what's the word, oversaturated. But just keep that in mind. um right. The right, and just ignorance like this, you know what I mean? Astrology is not based on a Gregorian calendar, but you can use a Gregorian calendar to express that. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because personally, this season produces receipts. Everything that you're coming into is based off of the activation of beliefs we have made in March, opposite in Pisces season. And as you can see, we have Jupiter 17 degrees in Gemini. We activated these new mindsets in Gemini season. So we have fucking made it, guys. This is the season you've been waiting for. Everything up until this point was introducing new characters, introducing new pieces. All right. You've upgraded your playground. You have new pieces, you have new toys, you have new puzzle pieces. And this is the season where we put it all together. Hence, final integration. This year is so significant that I'm going to really bring in transit analysis over the past 30 years, since, let's just say, the last time Neptune was in Pisces, 93, 94, and 95. So the thing about this is this season in shifting your behavior is going to produce the fruits of your worth. There are a lot of idiots running around on this planet, unfortunately, that will lead with bias and then in their pride and hubris act as if they know what they're talking about when they don't. Me with this, I don't argue. I don't spend time back and forth arguing about whether astrology is real. Those of you who are fellow astrologers, tarot readers, healers, we've put in the work. We demonstrate the work. I don't have time to argue with someone about the precession of the equinoxes. I will demonstrate the magic craft of astromancy and show you. I have 100% accuracy rate. That came with 10 years of experience. So there's a confidence coming from this Leo season chapter that will put a sour look on people's faces. But when it comes time for them to demonstrate and fulfill the burden of proof, they will never do that. I'm 34 years old. I have not seen someone properly debunk what we do outside of ad hominem, red herring, and strawman fallacies. And some of these people are accredited scientists. So it lets you know the revolution that we are a part of. And it's not about sounding educated, it's about demonstration. And many of you are going to be demonstrating how, more specifically, a lot of what, whether it's spiritually based or not, could be you could be a car mechanic killing the game right now, incorporating innovative standards that are completely deviating from what was traditionally upheld. That's a huge theme of the rest of this decade. So walk forward with confidence, knowing that you at a moment's notice can demonstrate. The only people who need to be afraid are frauds. Saturn and Pisces will continue exposing the frauds. People who are grifters, people who may use whether this craft or religion or other crafts to deceive people, they all going to get exposed. I'm almost hoping someone tries to debunk me. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to hide. I can demonstrate. We demonstrate the truth. That way, when I give someone a reading, I know they're lying to me when they say it's not accurate. It's as simple as that. When you work on your craft so much, you can account for what's bias and what's actual accuracy. You strut your stuff, and this is what's going to begin to harvest during this harvest season. The final integration of karmic development that has been made collectively since 1995. Mind you, some of you were born after 1995, so this is your first rodeo, and you get ready because you guys are bringing in the new generation, the whole new world. So it hits different for y'all. Y'all were born advanced and shit. So, and stuff. So regardless, I look forward to breaking this down in a nutshell. The mastery with which you're going to by your own self facilitate will take every major life lesson, every skill, every ability, powers that you have been awakening for your whole life, recent powers that you have just evolved and awakened, and it's going to put all of those together. There are a lot of buzzwords and there are a lot of words that trigger people that could kind of have them think that, oh, it's legit or not. We are not arguing with people whether what we believe is legit or not. We are demonstrating by practicing what we preach. Fully expect people to get triggered by the effects of your behavior. They're WLBs. Harvard and Yale have studied that WLBs, aka weak little bitches, have the inability to have their own logic challenged. So instead of sitting in their own security and being okay with something they may not know, they have to defend this belief and worldview because they have an external locus of control and they identify so much with their beliefs. When you take action that goes against the box they've put you in, they feel like you're attacking them. And they're just stupid little bitches. Okay, you can show them love. You don't have to really devolve into whatever they're projecting. They're not even mad at you. They're just taking out their insignificance and inferiority on you. God bless a WLB. All right. We're not spiritual narcissists here, but we're also not bitches. So like you're not gonna walk over us. You're not going to try and play that. We are spiritually strapped. All right. As corny as that sounds, it's true. Okay. So with that being said, this Virgo season is going to have you really show that. This is why Virgo is the realest zodiac sign. This is Virgo's dimension. It is the point of analysis socially with which allows us to filter what is a belief and what is real. Okay. So I'm excited for this season. It's going down. Everything that has to change is happening this season. And the math behind that is the totality of this final change. Pisces is the reason and cause behind everything. It's always Pisces' fault, is what I'm saying. But other than that, how it all happens is Virgo. So there's been a lot of shenaniganery that now that has been set up will now express itself over the rest of this year. Another thing we have to take into account, will this be available after I watch to watch after the live? This video is exclusive for Infinity Club members, and the monthly tribe reports are exclusive for Infinity Club members. That being said, I probably will leave this video up for a week. So if you don't catch it today, or if you want to catch the replay, I probably won't make it exclusive until the end of the week. Thank you, Myra. So the theme of this year, okay, is as Pluto is just entering Aquarius, we have kicked in the 20-year arc from 2044 to 2024 to 2044, which is the awakening of humanity. The last two times that this has happened, in the 1700s, we had every revolution known to mankind against monarchies in favor of democracy. And before that, we also had, I like that. Before that, we also had Protestantism breaking away from Catholicism. These are two really prime examples to let you know the rebellious, revolutionary quality of Aquarius and how collectively this creates waves over, decades that impact where we're at now. And we are at one such time. Yeah, there's these conflicts with the four horsemen of the apocalypse that activated March 2020. All right, the Saturn, Mars, Pluto, and Jupiter conjuncting Capricorn, which that cycle has still been relevant every 2 years. And that's the beautiful thing about astrology. If you actually know what you're talking about and you don't give persuasive definitions of the craft, or if you're not a fraud astrologer and like try and use mentalist tricks to give people vague Barnum statements, you see that this spells itself out very clearly through the stars. When you really examine Mars transit from 2020, the 2 years it went around in Capricorn, then 2022 it went in Aquarius. We had the conflict, the god of war. We had the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. Then it came back around 2024. We had the conflict with Israel and Palestine. Like, this shit spells itself out. And once you understand how to read the cycles, life speaks to you on a whole different level. Yeah, there are people who don't need to read charts. They can see this stuff. But I mean, having a GPS system that's pretty intuitive is also pretty pimp, whether you need it or not. So regardless, this is Virgo season. Bring your receipts. I'm telling you, we're going to save the debates for Libra season. That's the I told you so tour. Libra season is the presentation of receipts and debates. Now we're going to collect facts. This is great research before an election to really come into details about what's happening. But let me not get too excited. Basically, we have begun Virgo season. Virgo season has already started out with a generational changer. Okay. This is the 22nd of August, the 0 degree Virgo sun to the 0 degree Pluto and Aqua retrograde that will come back into Aquarius around November. So every single degree and day of this Virgo season is jam-packed. That being said, before we get in, what is the most important lesson of Virgo season? What Virgo season does, it's the second point of magic. All right. Forget this postmodern materialist reductionist society that has trapped you in a semantical game to have you think that there's anything different from magic and science. They're basically two of the same things. People just have different research methods and names for. So the four mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, are 4 points of magic. Magic, which is changing and perceptual. It is mutable in nature. Everything that exists is magic. The fact that you're breathing is magic. The fact that your brain computes information is magic. The fact that you can analyze data scientifically, that's magic. Okay. So the four levels and phases of magic represent the four nature of your perception. The initial thought, the word, I'm the shit. That's Gemini. The idea, I think, therefore I am. It answers the question, what? Then we have the second phase of magic, whereas Gemini is experimentation. Okay. Virgo is going to be analysis. It is the earth sign that takes our original independent individual thought, and now we have to criticize and analyze it. It's a social sign. So you can't just be the only one critiquing your thought. You'd have a bias. With the social Virgo, we have different perspectives critically analyzing. Of course, depending on the society, it's going to change how things are analyzed. But as far as a point of magic, Gemini is experimentation, Virgo is integration through analysis. We experimented, now we're analyzing the data. Then the third stage of magic, which is now, if Gemini and Virgo are lower realm, lower minded magic, because the lower mind is Virgo and Gemini ruled by your brain, Mercury. What do we know about the lower mind? Well, your brain processes information, input, output. This is that, this is that, this is that. That's Gemini. This is how, this is that. This is how, this is that. All the input and output of this is based off of what I'm sensing physically and what I perceive. Then you have the higher mind. These are the God level magics, Sagittarius, Pisces. Once I take in this data and I've analyzed, okay, this person's breath smells like shit, so they probably don't brush their teeth. This is going to have me now look beyond the physical. Once we start philosophizing and theorizing, well, what does this mean? What does this mean that this person's breath smells so rank and that they don't brush their teeth? Now we're seeing beyond the physical with our mind's eye. Sagittarius is going to take the word that is Gemini in the dictionary, and it's going to define what that word means. It sees into meaning. It takes the analysis of Virgo, and now it synthesizes and interprets the meaning of that analysis, leading with Pisces. Sagittarius, which is one of the most dangerous, leading to perhaps the beyond dangerous zodiac sign, Pisces, because Pisces can inspire you with a dream, and a dream can change your life. It took me 30 years to realize Pisces is the real villain, because they can make you believe anything. You could be depressed. Pisces could give you hope, and now you believe, and now you're happy again. That is terrifying. Think about how the world has been shaken throughout history over beliefs. Think about how much dreams have been sold to people off of just the hope and possibility. All right. Pisces answers the question why. It is the ultimate and final incorruptible perspective. And that magic sounds like the scientific method, because magic is science, science is magic. So basically, we do this all over. Once we get that final discovery of why, right, we've interpreted the meaning of the analysis. Well, now we've understood the reasoning relative to that interpretation of the meaning. And then once we get that, okay, this is why it's happening, we retest and experiment. We reanalyze, we interpret the meaning, we come back. If it's not the same, we do it again. And your brain is constantly doing, your consciousness is constantly going through this cycle, because nothing is separate. The way we break down the zodiac signs helps us understand, of course, the modalities, but that's what brings in Virgo and Pisces. Pisces looks at everything and its interconnected wholeness, and Pisces and Virgo breaks down everything into its independent pieces. It breaks down everything into its individual pieces. all right, as a part of that interrelated whole. So Virgo is going to break this down into every component in piece, and Pisces is going to see how it all connects together. Once you understand that basic, with that, you see magic just like that. And you'll find that magic isn't the fantasy bullshit that you're led to believe in order to nerf you out of giving away your own power through your perspective. The understanding that you cast and project your consciousness into this waking reality and aligning it with this metaphysical facet of your consciousness with the physical element of your, of course, senses. All right, this is why Pisces is metaphysical as a water sign and Virgo is physical as an earth sign. Mutable signs are your experience. So Taurus is the quality of earth and Capricorn is the power of earth. But the Taurus quality of earth is our five senses. But the experience that we have of this physical matrix, that's Virgo. All right. So Virgo rules your behavior. This is why Virgo suns, moons, risings, they're naturally critical because they're masters. Kobe Bryant in the gym, they have style, they have Libra, they have balance, they have class. All right. You may not like certain Virgos, but they will all have some element of this because that is what they represent as the real social dynamic of the zodiac, which is ever changeable. So let's put this concept into context with the nature of the planets. All right. We see that Saturn is in Pisces. We see that Jupiter is in Gemini. Jupiter was last in Gemini 2012. Saturn was last in Pisces in 95. This is going to account for not only perceptual shifts and differences relative to Pisces' collective narrative and beliefs versus Jupiter and Gemini of your own individual mindset evolving. Virgo is where we take it to the market. Virgo is the marketplace where we buy and sell. And we take these beliefs and thoughts. Hey, did you hear about this? Well, I think this. And that's why I'm selling it for this. And they're like, bitch, you better put that $2 down. And this is where we start to critique each other. It goes down in the market, just like it's going to go down this Virgo season. So the reason why we have to look at Gemini and Pisces is that everything that we activated in March in Gemini is going to simultaneously harvest 180 degrees to Saturn and integrate 90 degrees from Gemini. And we don't normally have, stay tuned for the monthly Earth Tribe report where I will break down how Virgo is going to be the star of their own season. We don't normally have mutable activity with Titans, right? Like this powerfully. So that's what's setting up the stage for such a very powerful and magical, life-changing, game-changing integration. And now when you honor the cycles, you understand that Saturn didn't just get here to Pisces. Jupiter didn't just get here to Gemini. These have throughout time been a part of major cycles. So I'm going to go into why we're calling this final integration part 1. All right. That being said, okay, what we want to see as far as how this transit begins, what's going to happen this Virgo season is that you're coming into a full mastery of everything that God has guided you to learn since 1995. And if you were born after that, since you were born. All right. This is where there are metaphysical facets outside of your conscious awareness and ability to perceive that may not make the most linear sense as to why what you experienced 6 years ago has everything to do with what you're mastering now. This is that crucial process that's putting all of your life experience and these karmic lessons together to integrate towards this new point, go through the eclipse in Libra, and as Saturn and Neptune come into Aries, we bring in the new cycle. So this final integration, in retrospect, is putting all of your development together. And what makes it karmic is if you spent the past 30 years forsaking yourself, not necessarily living in integrity, that's what you're integrating. If you spent the past 30 years working your ass off within and out in your environment, however that looks like to you, that's what you're integrating. That's what makes it fair. It's karmic. Whatever you put in, that's what you're harvesting. That's what you're coming out. So basically the past 3 to 6 months, what have we been talking about? We've been talking about law of assumption. We've been talking about you're the creator of your own reality. Right? We've been talking about since June, you have to repeat this in your mindset. We were imagineering and programming our brain input with mindsets because you're that powerful. You can literally choose a set of thoughts and beliefs to just move forward with. Boom, it's going to be in your reality. But it's going to take, quote unquote, the illusion of time for you to actually experience that, even though once you decide it's there, because you only perceive less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. That being said, we have been, of course, I'm limitless. We have an unlimited amount of anything. Remember, everything in our life is perfect. We've been moving forward with these mindsets. We've been moving forward with these beliefs. All right. And now this Virgo season is your awareness of the harvest of these beliefs by experiencing them in your lifestyle, the integration of these mindsets by experiencing you mastering how specifically you live these ideas. So this is why, even though back in March, even though back in June, when you were saying, oh yeah, I'm limitless, motherfucker, like I have an unlimited amount of anything, it was true then. But just like when you sow a seed, it takes time to break through the ground. Now the repetition of you consistently incorporating this is going to produce a very fruitful harvest, more than you could have initially perceived. And that's what I'm saying. This doesn't work in a way where it's like the planets affected me and made me do this. No, all we're doing is just aligning with these cycles so that we can literally move with the flow instead of, trying just, you can do your own thing, but you're going to be affected by the gravity of this planet. Just like, you're going to co-create. I'm not going to say you're affected by these cycles. You're not affected by time, but you are going to wake up at a certain time, align with your schedule. The way people want to do is the way they want to do it. So over the past 6 months, right? If you wanted to let reality raw dog you in the booty and you didn't have the discipline, because it requires discipline to decide that you rule your life. If you decided to be like, oh, I'm not limitless, nothing ever goes my way. If you're reacting to the 3D, which this 3D environment, type in a nil Seth, you hallucinate your conscious reality, right? If you, on TED Talk, if you react off of this 3D, if you're looking at real events, even though scientists have proven and gotten a Nobel Peace Prize for showing that this universe is not real and local. All right. So if you're looking at what's happening here and you're reacting off of it based on it as it's real, you're delusional. Think about how delusional the world is. Get real. Get real. Dude, just keep it real. But you're basing this. That's why if someone is basing a judgment on you from the outside looking in, I saw it happen. You have to understand what that person saw was less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum relative to their bias of you as a static image. So this person will only see one slice of you that you exist your whole life. That's why people make the stupidest value judgments and base things off of the worst appeal to an authority, their own eyewitness. You do not even see the present moment. Really keep that in mind. This is beyond, I saw you steal that from the cookie jar and we saw it. We're not talking about stuff like that. When we talk about people judging who you are, people judging certain beliefs and ideas, really keep that in mind. When you base things based off of a present moment that's not even truly present, you are witnessing the past, which is an effect of your beliefs that you have reinforced. Okay. So if you spent the past 6 months not having the discipline to really practice what you preach and say, yeah, I'm limitless. But then when something doesn't go your way, you're like, oh, that's why nothing ever goes my way. You're going to harvest that. You're going to be aware very quickly of what you need to change so that you don't harvest what you don't want. But see, for those of you who've been showing up to the ceremonies, whether with us or not, you've been maintaining good mindsets. You realize that thinking positive is not easy at all. It requires consistency. It requires a discipline to, no matter how you feel, decide that, bitch, I'm having an amazing day. This is a learning experience. That requires discipline. You're going to be harvesting that in preparation for Libra season, which is going to be amazing. Okay, victim versus victory. All right. So shout out to those of you who took the discipline to imagineer new programs in your brain. You're going to see them really flourish. Of course, there was a step process to this. All right. And we're going to go through the process into why Virgo is so important. You see 12 zodiac signs here, but there's really just 6 because every single one has an opposition that completes it. Aries is your identity, which is, of course, reflected by the other, the agreement, the balance. Libra, 0 degrees, 180 degrees, check and balance, quite literally. Taurus is your own value. It is your physical senses, which of course is harvested through shared resources. We have relationships and shared assets, your money, other people's money. Gemini, of course, is your individual ideas. It's the communication. Well, of course, that's harvested by the meaning, the bigger picture, the lower mind and the higher mind. This is what it is. This is what it means. Show, tell. Then we have Cancer, the individual water sign of understanding one's identity. Aries is your first name. Cancer is your surname. Well, that's harvested by the collective decision. We go home, we go to work. Okay, sincerity, integrity, emotional. We don't have emotions at work. It's business. Okay. Then we have your courage, the performer of Leo. We take who you are, what it is you're worth, what it is you think, what it is you feel. The 4 major elemental components of who you are as an individual. And what do we do? What do we do? We perform it. The first social sign. We begin to integrate that on stage. Hence, Leo representing 12 to 22. When you start to develop your identity outside the influence of your parents through high school, okay? And what do we do in Virgo? What's opposite Leo? Aquarius, the performer, the audience, the collective, the passion, the heart, the mind. Well, then what do we do in Virgo? We put all that together because Leo just gave the golden star-studded performance of their life, which required courage and heart. You know what Virgo told Leo? Virgo told Leo, hey, I'm not even going to lie. That was fire. But can you do this every day, bro? Can you give me that same performance every day at the same time with that same quality? Virgo, it cannot be understated how legit Virgo is. Virgo is the real deal. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And I mean, we're in an earth dimension. I'm trying not to glaze. I'm showing honor to their season, but like Virgo is so necessary. There's the dark side of Virgo where we now use facts and statistics to skew truth. But then there's the proper expression of Virgo that is necessary for justice to be served. It is the very sign of service. All right. So when you hear Virgos talking about, I'm really outside, I really do it, this is what they're talking about. Okay. They're not the biggest fans of us homebodies, but their best friend is Cancer, a homebody. Anyway, what we see here with Virgo is this is the point of integration that we put everything together. So, and we do this through repetition, through practice, building consistency. And then what's after Virgo? Libra. We now take our individuality in Aries, and what do? We present it towards the other in balancing our character. Okay. That's a really good question. That's a really good question. It'd be interesting because this may not be the case in different hemispheres or different countries, but yeah, that'd be interesting to look into. That being said, Virgo in really taking everything we've activated and putting it together now gives you an honor of what we've done before, especially for those of you who've been rushing the process. Once I've understood this process, it humbled the fuck out of me because I have a Mars and Aries. I'm mad impatient. Like, I want the development to happen now. But when I realized the necessary need to really take every day and degree and perfect these levels and allow these cycles to play out through us, I started to be in flow and realized how this universe is like some cosmic movie or sitcom that plays out episodically. And if you actually know the transits, you'll know what episode we're on. Anyway, that being said, Pisces is opposite Virgo, the belief towards the analysis. How with Virgo? Why with Pisces? The dream versus the reality, which, if you think this reality is an illusion, this is an illusion. There's no such thing. Like this is all energy. It's not really, it's solid, but it's just condensed energy, right? So we're seeing an illusion of separation that gives us the impression that all these things are different when it's just the way we hallucinate. All right, which is very poetic, very beautiful. So now let's put this deeper in context. We are beginning this Virgo season with the fated quincunx to, of course, Pluto. This is very relevant because a month ago was where, for the first time in 248 years, pause for dramatic effect, we had effectively harvested supernatural energy, the first of which we will do for 20 years, 2024 to 2044. So this is the first of 180-degree oppositions that every year, faithfully, we will have at increasing numbers in degrees. All right. For example, next year, this is going to be from 2 degrees. The year after that, that's going to be at 4 degrees. And we're going to keep doing this every year till 2044. The reason why that's relevant is we just finished the first round of the Hunger Games from 2008 to, of course, 2023. We had these oppositions in Cancer. What did we call them? Boss battles. Okay. Now, the nature of the boss battle is involving aliens. And this is what the celestials, frequencies, this is what's making this more of a frequency war. I'm not going to do the mundane thing and try and see how it plays out here. You can do that. But this is where this opposition is very key. Up until this point, we were having Pluto oppositions in Capricorn. So we haven't had Pluto 0 degrees here in 248 years. So when I say that now, this is a 180-degree harvest from the January 19th, 29-degree Capricorn Sun Pluto conjunction. Since January 19th, we had only just begun to harvest this. And that's why now, starting Virgo season off with the second stage harvest, hence 180 degrees, first stage, 210 degrees to the degree, second stage, and then 240 degrees is third stage. All right, which we'll see is going to happen at 29 degrees Virgo. All right. So that and I'm gonna be even honest, we're ending Virgo season with another Pluto aspect, and we're starting Virgo season with the Pluto aspect. So I'm going to keep it 100,000 and a buck. That Pluto signature from 210 to 240 is the process of you detailing the analytical awareness and understanding of how to express supernatural energy, of how to perceive supernatural phenomena, of how to transform the understanding and nature of knowledge and science through new information and analysis. And that's where we're going to go in to break down the significance of this quincunx. So we're going from this transformative awareness. We call it a transformative awareness because the sun is making a transformative angle. 210 degrees is a Scorpio signature. Since the sun moves faster than Pluto on this wheel, even though Pluto revolves around the sun, but is the slowest planet to orbit, even though it's not a planet anymore. But like, we know that the sun has gone 210 degrees. So that's a transformative awareness with the sun. So we're coming into a transformative awareness, meaning that 30 days ago, you had started to feel the energy of you harvesting, increased strength, increased intensity. All right. Sensing a lot more stronger, which you're going to see exponentially get stronger over the next 20 years. Virgo is now bringing the transformative awareness for you to detail how specifically you're actually harvesting the supernatural, In that Taurus is natural, your 5 physical senses, and Aquarius is supernatural. Now, everything about this breaks the postmodern materialist, reductionist, theoretical models that you'll hear on science that does not acknowledge you have a soul. It does not acknowledge you have a spirit. So if you don't believe in soul and spirit, I think you're wasting your time watching this report. We are pro soul and spirit. Every being is a soul that is having a physical experience. Astrology helps you really uncover the modalities of spirit through your conscious awareness with the sun, of soul through your subconscious mind, represented by the vessel, which is your moon, Mercury, your brain processor, Venus, your heart, Mars, your private parts. Okay, so like we really do this over here. We don't do this mentalist newspaper horoscope astrology. If you really want to know the math behind this, peep the mathematics. This is why the Dogons were able to discern planets that were trans-Saturnian and knew they were there without a telescope. This is how Ptolemy was able to revolutionize and innovate this, taking into account the precession of the equinoxes and correcting the ecliptical 360 mathematics. This is why I be accurate, because I'm psychic, but I'm just using math. So by the time we get to the 240-degree trine, that 29-degree Virgo sun and 29-degree retrograde Capricorn is you coming into a maximum awareness of how you can control these powers at will. And where does it go in after? Libra, where we're demonstrating it, where we will be demonstrating the receipts of how it is we've mastered in a short 29 days. Not only the supernatural, but the integration of your entire life. This shit is fire, guys. This is what you've been waiting for. And of course, I think why this is going to be, or how this is going to be very impactful, is this is going to give you more practical physical development and proof and evidence of what you've been working on a lot, which has been mental and metaphysical. And you're going to produce this through your literal habits. If you're ready for this to be real, welcome to, once again, the Virgo season 2024 monthly peace report. Okay. You're not necessarily going to start to see these things. You've already been experiencing these things, especially for those of you who have already been experiencing crazy synchronicities, who you've been seeing, whether small or huge, development relative to psychic powers. I want to really keep this metaphysical. I want to keep this outside the boundary of what's considered normal, because that's going to be the new normal, which is really just an ancient truth that your ancestors been known, but use different semantics to call. All right. Every culture has their own words for these things. So for those of you who've seen a lot of syncs, they're all coming together. They are all coming together in such a real way that when you understand that everything you're experiencing is the final integration from 1995, and then if you want to take it even further back, every 30 years since, of course, the 1700s. But we're not going to go that deep. That's documentary levels of deep. So yeah, please know that this is work you've put in. No magical fairy did this. No imaginary god that some religion tells you to pray to has helped facilitated this. This was everything that you have, of course, decided and agreed upon incarnating here to work out this through with the Elohim who created you in God's image. All right. So with that being said, 0 degrees. The reason why this 0 degree quincunx is so key is if you think about the science behind how Virgo transforms Aquarius. One, you know that we had Mercury go through here, and then Mercury retrograded through here. All right. You see, a month ago, Mercury was just about to go into Virgo, hit the 0 degree point, and then, of course, now it's retrograded out. So the sun here represents this, okay? Peep game. Knowledge, of course, is eternal with the capital K. But of course, we have lowercase knowledge. We have theoretical models. We have what is collectively agreed upon and known at the time. For example, certain people collectively knew that the earth was flat. All right. Then what happened was certain people used their brains and they made calculations in a day and age before the internet, before technology, before any expensive gadgets. And they were able to, using their brains, realize, holy shit, guys, the earth is not fucking flat. It's actually round. This was centuries before people with gadgets and technology would be trying to argue with you that the earth is flat. Okay. They were able to use data and analysis through math to calculate, hey guys, the earth is actually round. So, what did that analysis of information do? It transformed the knowledge. So now what was previously known in light of new analysis transformed now collectively people knowing, hey, this bitch is not flat. Okay. So with that being said, okay, why this is very, 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 important. And just to speak on Bob, I respect Bob has the moon in Aqua. I may not agree with what he feels of the earth being flat, but I respect his questioning of these established principles, because people made it so much about that, but he just wants people to question, established traditions and authority, which is an Aquarian theme, which is very important. But like that being said, you know what I mean? This is happening to everyone collectively, personally, in the sense that with this sun in Virgo, King conjuncting this Pluto aspect for the first time in 248 years, which is what makes this year the transition, right, from 2024 to 2044 versus, pre 2024. Now, for the first time ever, the sun in Virgo, after Mercury went direct and Venus as well, right, is that you are coming into an awareness of your reality through your 5 physical senses, hence the physical senses of Taurus extending through the experience of how you behave experiencing this, right, is showing you real time how these synchronicities, these invisible frequencies, the metaphysical, the supernatural aligns with you. You're not getting everything at once. And this is part 1, and I'll talk about why this is part 1. But you're starting to experience more consistency in these unexplainable occurrences. What that's doing is it's going to transform previous ignorance, previous knowledge, previous doubt. So if it was in knowledge that psychic abilities are bullshit and that you can't sell the future with your dreams, well, now you, not because anyone told you, not because anyone shared you a story, you just woke up from a dream, and everything that happened in that dream happened shortly after. So now you have direct experience that your metaphysical dream that's just in your head keyed you into real information that happened really for here. This has now been transforming previous insights, knowledge, thoughts, beliefs about, in this case, the supernatural, psychic abilities, gifts. And for those of you seeing synchronicities, you've noticed this occurrence a lot more exponentially as soon as Virgo season started, because not only are you continuing to integrate this, you are heavily transforming the energy that you've activated since January and began to integrate since April, or rather late April, when we had the sun in Taurus square Pluto. Then we had the opposition in Leo. You started to harvest that energy. Now you're coming into a real detailed awareness of how we're transforming into it. And you're going to move forward with it Libra season. So this is where it happens, guys. By the time we get to Sagittarius season, you're seeing the meaning of what it is you've harvested. You're seeing the results. You're seeing the effects. So I wanted to bring your attention to that because, of course, not only will this be a very significant kickoff to this season, but it's what's going to really mark a real awareness of this awakening process, which for so long has really expressed itself quantum towards you within your body. So a lot of the development you've experienced is not readily apparent. You know what I mean? It's like you've been training for 6 months and someone's been teaching you how to fight. And that person's an experienced fighter. So they've seen how your body is strengthened. Virgo is real life experience, if that makes sense, through practice. So, like, you've never been in a fight. You're still kind of nervous, right? You've never really had those experiences with what it's like to feel that pressure. So you don't even realize until you're experiencing it, you got so much stronger. Now you're taking 3 punches to the face and it doesn't hurt the way you feared it would, because now you're experiencing the results mid-fight and you whoop that person's ass and you're a little surprised, like, wow, I got stronger. That's what this season is going to feel like, because up until this point, we were activating, integrating, we were putting this together. Whereas this is also the final part of putting all this together. All right. So there's Virgo that comes through as integration. And then there's the stage Virgo is in, which can sometimes be activation, can sometimes be in the integration phase. And I'll explain that. So that's very important. And the first thing to really keep in mind is that Virgo season starts with the moon in Aries and Taurus. All right. At 0 degrees and 0 minutes, it's very fitting that we're restarting the lunar cycle in Aries. So we haven't had the Aries degree. The degree had happened 29 moon Pisces, 29 sun Leo, right? But with the moon in Aries void, of course, on the North Node, you're understanding who you are as you begin this path of mastery. And then, of course, when we have the proper angle with the moon trine the sun, which has happened 2 days ago, we are understanding the grounded footing of our values, of how we feel our natural senses, so that we could be aware of how we are, of course, mastering our habits, what behavioral patterns. So Gemini season, we activated mindsets through the programming of our thoughts. Virgo season, we are integrating those thoughts relative to behavioral patterns to take this attitude and turn it into a habit. So the moon in Taurus, of course, not only grounded that, but now that we've made it, and of course, Uranus here is very important. Now that we've made it to the moon in Gemini, right? We've reached the 270-degree completion of the previous new moon in Leo. And let me spell that out. Basically, we had the new moon in Leo. So this was the last cycle we had. We had the 0 degree new moon in Leo. This activated not only new courage, not only new solar light energy. So the natural energy we activated in Taurus, we began to integrate how we can express it. Let me make sense of that. Taurus is our natural values. Leo is the integration of these natural values, performing them towards other people on stage. So if you're very confident in yourself, then you're very confident on stage. But then we also, opposite Pluto, are harvesting the supernatural quality of this, a feature that we have not experienced in 248 years. And this is, of course, the conjunction for reference for those of you who want to know what I'm talking about. January 19th. Okay. So ever since then, we, of course, had this new moon, right? And what's very key here is that the new moon activated this harvest of the supernatural, which is still pretty fresh. Okay. Then we had the integration of such as we went from the 0 degree activation to now coming into pure wisdom to integrate this new courage. Then we had the full moon. The full moon began to harvest, after reawakening this energy, the knowledge of what powers and talents, which was the theme of Leo. Leo, if Gemini, third house is your ability, fifth house Leo is your talents, right? What you're expressing on stage. And now you've harvested the knowledge of these talents. Where has that led to? That has so we went from 180 degrees of opposition, right? And from full moon, we've now made it to the completion, 270 degrees. So because we're having the new moons not really in the beginning, we're blending. Normally, we want to see the third quarter square in the same sign we had the new moon, but it's cool. We just converted it. So the energy and the talents that we activated, the supernatural talents that we activated and have harvested, we've just completed harvest. The completion of the harvest of these talents is expressing itself in the true mastery of how we perfect these talents. So the energy we've harvested, we're now coming into a true understanding of how to begin to master this, which also serve as the results from the performance that we've done a month prior. I hope I'm not spitting too much jargon. So this is what represents the preparation to the new moon in Virgo. And the thing I want you to keep in mind is we started this with moon in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and then of course, after this goes over Mars and Jupiter, which will rev you up with a lot of inspiration and passion and a change of your perspective, as you will understand what about your mindset must align with the integrity of your beliefs and fantasies, and what about your beliefs have to change to align with what is true about what you should do. Boom, we have the moon in Cancer that's going to apply this thought process into a feeling which fuels energy, emotion, this behavior you are getting ready to activate. And that's where, coming into this point, moon in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer is preparing you for this montage by helping you understand this is how you feel about yourself, this is what you're worth, this is what you think, and this is what you feel. The balsamic phase in Leo is going to revisit your previous performance, and it's going to transcend what you're getting ready to master more, because now this is post performance. It's not like how you were before you performed and you were wondering, I hope you do well. You knocked it out the park. So now you're going to review, okay, this is what I want to master more. And the reason why that's very important is, in covering all those bases, you are recovering all the facets of yourself you've activated since April of this year. And that's going to lead into you, of course, activating your new techniques, baby. Yeah. So the abilities you activated in Gemini season, you're going to turn into techniques. Techniques take a number of different abilities and incorporate them into, of course, like a device with which, whether physically or technologically, you make the most of. But of course, the moon in Gemini, which we're experiencing right now, is very significant because this is aligning this understanding of how your brain and mindset is evolving into how you're going to, over the rest of this cycle, master it. Okay, so here's one thing to keep in mind. We have the entry point. The thing about the moon in Gemini is, relative to this mutable cross, all right, we have the moon in Gemini, moon in Sag. All right, so the moon in Gemini brings us in this portal of mastery. The moon in Sag is what's going to bring us out of it. The new moon in Virgo is what's going to activate this cycle post coming into the portal through Gemini. And the full moon in Pisces is what's going to harvest this cycle coming out of the Sag portal here. The reason why we want to look at that is because we have an eclipse in Libra, and everything post Libra season is a 6-month preparation for 2025, where Saturn and Neptune will be in Aries, and we will begin the New World Order arc. Okay. Now, I also want you to look at the sun in Virgo opposite Saturn. This is going to be the second time and the last time in 30 years that Saturn will be opposite the sun in Virgo. This is why I'm calling this the final integration arc part 1, because as you can see, we're going to have the initial opposition 2024 at 15 degrees retrograde. But next year, this will be after it retrogrades out of Aries. The way to make sense of this is Noah's Ark was about 300 and something days. Okay. So this year, you have just started your Ark ride in March. You went out on faith. People were ridiculing you. And then you went on the boat and it started raining and now they're dead because they drowned and you're still alive. Okay. So with that being said, you are sailing on this faith ride, the representation of beliefs and metaphysical concepts and mechanics beyond the physical, that you have nothing else but faith to guide you along, but your habits to align with what about them are real. Okay. So by the time we come in the next year, Saturn entering Aries is we've reached new land. Okay. Saturn retrograding out of Aries and coming back into Pisces next year is not like this year where we're still on this blind faith ride. It's going to be where we've reached the promised land and we've deboarded, but we have to go back to the ship to unpack the ship. And then Saturn Aries, Neptune Aries, we're in a new realm. Okay. What's also interesting is Uranus is going to trine Pluto. So I thought Uranus was going to enter 2026. It's going to inch in there. And that's what makes 2025 a key transition year. 2025 is going to give us a sneak peek of the New World Order, the new currencies, how they're going to try and connect everything globally, which you can see as an Illuminati conspiracy, but this was inevitable to happen regardless. If you just think of of course, how they do it, I'm not going to speculate on. But when I say New World Order, I'm not really alluding to the whole Illuminati conspiracy, even though there could be truth in that. I'm just talking about the new Saturn cycle, especially if you go back to 1999, 97, we did this before. And then if you go back to the 60s and the 70s, and then if you go back to basically every 30 years, like the 20s and the 30s, you will mark, and I'm going to do a documentary about this. If you actually study every time Saturn has left Pisces and went into Aries, major changes in the way the global authority structures itself, and over these 30-year cycles integrates these new advances in technology. It's cyclical. That's all I have to say. So we are, of course, in the midst of this again. And part 2 is going to be next year, the true final integration, where guess what? The nodes are here. So that's another thing to really keep in mind. The nodes in Aries and Libra are unlocking your Ready Player One, because once they go into Pisces, all of the old traditional structures are flushing down the toilet, and we're getting ready to unlock the redefinition of a way a new society over the next 17 years is going to really operate. So congratulations, because everything that happens now is a fulfillment of 6 months ago, and it's going to majorly influence the next 6 months to 12 months. Obviously, you can say about anything, but I just wanted to really get that out the way, to just kind of show you how things are going to progress. We see the square with Jupiter also increase in potency by this year, 20 degrees, where next year it's going to be in Cancer. Okay, something to keep in mind. So I just love the sequence of these planets, y'all. Like, this is where I'll be nerdy all day. Like, once you get the math, the matrix codes open up to you. So let's actually go back in the past. 27 years ago, 1997, where after reruns were played, Saturn and Aries built a new cycle, and all of the programs like Pokemon, like Rugrats, that were initiated around this period have long since then fulfilled their legacy now that Saturn is coming back. This is why we're entering a new Renaissance period. Pluto is getting ready to go through the spots Uranus and Neptune were the last time Saturn was here. So this is why more than ever you hear this whole tune of, we keep on hearing the same music. Like we need, like where's the dope stuff where it's in front of your faces? Like you guys are the new renaissance. You guys are the new revolution. Back in the 1990s, people were saying this too. They kept on playing reruns of Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera. I remember like learning about this through Patrick CC and other such research, okay, where we see that whole dynamic of a huge review, what was there in light of one of the greatest revolutions and renaissances that we're about to experience, okay? So of course 97 was when Saturn was in Aries, and we see that in 95 was the last time that it was actually in Pisces. And the reason why we need to factor this in is ever since that happened, obviously we had this new cycle. And look, Saturn is on the south node. Correlation, I think. Anyway, what we've had since then was the sun opposing Saturn throughout these 30 years, every year, as you can see. This happened in Libra, then this happened in Scorpio coming into the late 90s. We know that the early 2000s it went into Gemini. Oppositions happened with Pluto and the sun squaring Virgo. All right. And once we reached that Gemini point, that was the initial square since the last time. All right. Then, of course, the next 7-year, 9-year period, we had Saturn come out of Virgo into Libra by 2011. So mind you, you're constantly integrating through all these points. All right. And this is where, compared to back then, your ability with Pluto and Aquarius to tap into the collective telepathic mindscape and to be receptive to people projecting their psychic attack at you is having you express how much stronger you can interface and react to it, because no one secure within themselves is going to project negative, nasty feel, regardless of however biased or nuanced they believe. Some people feel so strong in their position, they feel justified when they're still just a stupid little bitch that cannot demonstrate the integrity of what they're doing. Hence why they're not in any way secure about it. There's no integrity of what they're doing. They're fallacious in their reasoning. So this is allowing you to really encapsulate so much more strength and how your presence alone is triggering these weak vibrations to, of course, project on you in the first place. It's a mark of strength. Okay. So, of course, as you can see, 2011, moving 9 years ahead to 2020, this was the year we had the apocalypse cycle. Jupiter in its fall famine, the horseman famine, Pluto, the horseman pestilence, Saturn, the horseman death, Mars, the horseman war. Okay. This was its first 2020 to 2022 tour. Okay. And of course, that brings us to here, where Saturn is back in Pisces. So each time, all these cycles represented massive integration. And the reason why I call this the final integration is with the sun opposing Saturn again, taking in every single Saturn opposition that has happened for 30 years, every year faithfully, which is why astrology is a science. Because as long as the sun travels across this ecliptic path, we have a consistent basis for these measurements to be accurate. And there's a concerted reason and effort why people don't want you to know about the real nature of how astrology works. All right. They want you to just, look at it as some kind of pop culture fad. This is why billionaires use astrology, not millionaires. This is some real shit. This is why presidents, kings, even mentioned in the Bible, had their astrologers. This is why God himself told the 3 wise men in Magi where Jesus was. He didn't tell them through a vision. They looked up, they read the word of God, the Mazaroth, the stars, baby. Come on. This is why Genesis 1:14-15 says astrology is good. Look up at the stars and the signs and the planets that I gave him for you to split the night and day. So like that's what this whole era is. We're not doing this whole popularity contest. Oh, my pastor said this is true. We don't let people believe for us. We study to show thyself approved. We're not arguing with scientists trying to debunk this. We're demonstrating its efficacy live in person. And if people don't want to believe it, they don't have to believe it. We move forward. We have receipts. Okay. We are really about this. If you are really about this, the next 30 days will exemplify this through your own habits. We are out of the age of Pisces, this age of belief and dreams, which had its high points, but was just riddled with so much coercion and deception. We are coming into the new age of knowledge, aka Aquarius. And I don't mean that new age shit too. I'm not talking about new age. I'm talking about the next age. All right. The age of the lowercase gods. All right. That being said, this moon in Gemini is a game changer because it's going to begin to shift your perspective towards mastery. The moon in Cancer, right, is going to help you feel where you belong relative to where you are mastering these habits. And the moon in Leo, which the first 5 signs are like the Power Rangers, right? This is going to help you understand what you are transcending 360 degrees coming into new moon activation. We're clearing the field. And what do we know? Mercury is direct. So now we've finished reevaluating and reviewing previous analysis and insight our brains have processed, and we're getting ready to move fully forward into the changing of our behavior and the activation of supernatural magic techniques. That, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the new moon in Virgo. So from now until the 3rd of September, you are carefully piecing and bringing together all of the fundamental pieces needed for your montage, the understanding of your individuality as you are aware of actively integrating it socially, even if you're introverted by yourself. And this is what's going to prepare for you to plant these new seeds. And this is what I'm talking about. So much bullshit, so much dumbass beliefs that people have had, you are going to see they are not able to demonstrate. I put what I say and do on my life. A lot of people don't really believe what they say with the conviction to put their life on it. There's so much people who will tell you, oh, this, that. Once you tell them to put their life on it or put something on it, they're not going to, because they know it'll happen. But that being said, okay, there's just so much bullshit that in light of true analysis and the magnifying glass will be seen as bullshit. And there's so much stuff that might have been seen as bullshit that, once again, in light of analysis, will pass the test of time, will be seen as the real deal. All right. Just saying. So this is where, with that new moon in Virgo, not only will you activate the cycle that will conclude since 2022, the transformation of status quo, with Saturn and Jupiter going through Pisces and Neptune finishing out of Pisces since 2012, but it's also going to prepare you for this next era, because the whole point of 2024 is to conclude the old world system and integrate everything you have been prepared and awakening and activating, so that once we step into this next era over the next 20 years, you are taking this completed, integrated facet of yourself and you're guiding the next generation. You are pioneering these new themes that are going to be prevalent for the rest of the fucking millennia, if not decade and century. Okay. 2024 is that crucial cherry on top and turning point with which we move forward cardinally with Saturn in Aries, with Jupiter in Cancer, with the North Node coming out of Aries. So this is where we activate this cycle. Okay. Everything that you have been putting these, of course, mindsets for. I'm limitless. I have an unlimited amount of anything. Remember that one? Everything in my life is perfect. This is where now you're going to understand and be aware of how to align these beliefs into your habits. And that's going to require work. And that's going to require consistency. When reality hits and you realize that maybe this shit isn't as easy as I expected it to be, and yet at the same time, it is as simple as just deciding it. This is what's going to give you that reality check. This is what's going to help you be aware of, are you willing to commit to this pattern? 21 days creates a habit, and really imagineer it in here. Are you willing to have the discipline to keep what it is you want to manifest? This is one of the most significant new moons, I believe, that we're going to be experiencing, especially now with Pluto retrograded back into Capricorn, sextiling Neptune retrograde, which is going to revisit how much more powerful your intuition has become now that you're mastering the ability to use these abilities at will. Another thing to keep in mind, from now until September 3rd, you have harvested and awakened supernatural abilities. So you're going to get a bit and piece of how to continue to actually express this, so that once we activate on a new moon, your montage has begun and you are coming into greater consistency through repetition, through being guided through these experiences and whatnot, and blah, blah, and jargon, jargon, jargon. Okay, so the new moon kicks this off. All right. Right now, the moon is in Gemini. As it goes through Cancer and Leo, there are very important revelations that will transcend old doubt around what you aren't sure you can do. Well, because you did it, because you're directly experiencing it. That means you can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and I fly away. Do you hear me? Okay, cool. So you don't have to worry about how. All right. And I love this. Will I finally get full teleportation powers? And that's the most important thing about this. You must decide that you will get it. Like, the thing about Virgo season that's going to change the way you behave is in realizing all this shit is real time. You literally have a higher self that exists beyond this physical facet, playing your physical self like an avatar in video game. So the reason why many of you are waiting for things to happen is because you're waiting for it. And so your spirit is like, oh, okay, you're waiting. You know what I'm saying? Versus claiming it now and knowing that you're going to experience it now, even if your psychological perception of time gives you the illusion that there's any lag. Like that, like this is where we need to keep it real, right? We use language and semantics that really confuse the fuck out of us while we're thinking we're saying anything real. So this illusion of time you're experiencing has already all happened. It's hard for you to and remember, you can't perceive beyond the third dimension. If you could perceive beyond the fourth, fifth dimension with your physical eyes, you would perceive that everything you're about to experience and everything you've already experienced has already happened. It's as if your entire life is a panoramic view that has already happened constantly. So just like if you're interfacing with a 2D surface, and that 2D surface is going to see your 3D element as 2D, and you can like move around and they're not going to see that, is like a higher dimensional being can interact with your 3D and enter at any point in time, your future self, your middle self, and you're going to see them as a 3D figure of light or whatnot. But they're still experiencing it just like you. You experience your own self beyond this reality. So relative to that, your perception of time elapsing is an illusion. And when you put yourself on and yes, I love that. Earth Dom, you are going to get stuck in the 3D, but it's cool because it gives you more grounding than the rest of us elementals. So regardless, you know what I mean? This is going to help you adjust with the real Earth sign Virgo, the timing of everything through the integration of this, through your habits, through repetition, through experience, which you'll be guided and led to too. So you really can't miss this, because if you're wondering how it is this works, by the time we activate the cycle, you've sowed the seeds to understand how. So right now, before we come into this new moon on September, how is it that you want to live your life? I know many of you want to be luxurious and not work. I know many of you want to do work that's meaningful to you, not work that you don't want to do. So, whether you're willing to accept this or not, your current situation is brought about by your own decision. That's how powerful you are. You've decided to work where you want to work. You've decided to tell yourself, I can't work anything other than this job. I need this job for money. You made that decision. You decided that was true, even though you're magic and you can create situations with a thought. And I don't mean in the have blind faith way and hope it plays out. You can decide to change it immediately and co-create with the universe, as you are not alone. So ask yourself, what is the life you want to live? Because with Neptune opposite this, the fullness of your imagination is projecting the actuality of this in your 4D mind, so that you can now create this for real by how you live this, how you behave this, even before you see physical evidence of this. Go to sleep with the wish fulfilled. Visualize it and feel it every day. Reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay. So, with that being said, in developing the behavior of how someone would live with this, this is what's going to create a near instant manifestation of this by these seeds you're sowing. So by the time we get to this new moon, you are thinking, sleeping, behaving, and feeling as the being who is living that life. And I hope you understand why that is so necessary, why you can't wait to see evidence of this in your 3D before you decide, oh, I'm living this now. Just like Jim Carrey, who wrote a check for $10 million, I believe, if that was the amount. Did he get that 10 million the day he wrote it? That's why I love these stories. Like, you have instant manifestations, but like your entire life is a manifestation. You have to honor the timing process because you need to learn and develop so much skills. If Jim Carrey had gotten that $10 million when he wrote it, he was not that skilled actor then. He still had to go through life and gain lessons and learn stuff before he made that. But that check he wrote was already there the day he wrote that. Thank you. This is how you shift realities. And many people serve two masters. You can't serve two masters. God sounds delusional. The devil sounds realistic. So do you want to serve the master that gives to the lust of the eyes and the pride of life? Oh, this is what we can see and touch. Or do you seek that which is invisible? Which is invisible is eternal. Do you seek the world you are creating through your mind, as all is mental? And now your physical vehicle allows you to live that life and create it into reality. You do this every day, which is why you're in the position you are now. So this is where, in activating this mindset and behavior, you are activating and sowing the seeds for the life that you want to live. It will require integrity of your beliefs. That means if you believe that, oh, I don't work to make a living, I just get money, I don't even work a job. If you believe that, you must move forward behaving as someone who doesn't work. That means you can work a 9 to 5. You can work a 9 to 5 and still honor that belief without even having to be delusional. Yeah, I'm working this job for now, but I won't be working this for much longer. Or you can be fully delulu. You can be fully delulu. I don't even work this job for real. I took this job as a favor, or I'm not even working right now. I just get money. Like, do you see how you can still acknowledge the 3D, but still run the imagination? You must feel it. You must acknowledge it. You don't even have to like feel it. You don't even have to really believe it. You must engineer it. Okay. You must have the integrity of beliefs no matter what it is you experience. I don't fucking work. And you don't worry about when, because you know. So you know your higher self has gotten that taken care of. The logistics of the mechanics of fate and how events occur, so that bridge of incidents can lead to that, you know, the moment you decided to, now it's happening. It's like an order you're waiting to come through. So you're not where integrity of beliefs means you're not worried about when this happens. You wrote the story. You wrote the story. It happened the moment you said so. And then you also have to honor the evolution of your mindset with Jupiter and Gemini. In that yesterday's price is not today's price. The processor with which you used to think with has leveled up. So you think so much more magically. You think so much more powerfully. Okay. In fact, you know, or you're working your dream job. You're working the work that is fulfilling to you. Everything about Virgo is social. It's your lifestyle. It's the house of work, because after you leave the fourth house of home, you go to this, of course, routine day to day. Also the house of pets, because you got to take care of them. I would think, but like, yeah, this point of integration. As long as you have the integrity of your beliefs, as long as you have the ideas that you need to support this. So I believe I don't even need to work a job. I make a living just being myself. I get so much money, I don't even need to work a job. Now, the thoughts that I'm thinking to support that is, I'm so fucking rich. Oh my gosh, I'm balling. Oh my gosh, I'm balling. Look at this. I'm negative $6,000 in my bank account. The way my checking and savings account is set up, you know what I'm saying? I have a negative account, but I'm balling, son. Like, this ain't nothing. This $6,000 compared to what I get. This is not just headcanon. You are actively feeding to your subconscious that cannot see and hear the reality. You are your subconscious's ears and eyes. If you're feeding that script, it's going to project this out. And that's where you're not just saying it, you're taking inspired action. So you didn't have to just say affirmations over and over. You decided, this is how I get this money. Boom, you get a phone call, an opportunity. Hey, come down here. You feel inspired to go. Boom, you've manifested this. Okay, it's so simple. Taurus is manifestation. Aries is the 12th house. You surrender action until you are guided by your own self and it's inspired. So, like, you really don't have to lift a finger to manifest. It's already done. When I made $1,000 in less than 24 hours and I had less than 48 hours to make that money, I didn't have to lift a finger for it. I said, universe, make this shit happen. Pam Grout said, give it 48 hours. I gave the universe 48 hours. I had already done the action. I created the service that allowed me to get paid. I didn't have to do anything. Boom. Got the money, changed my whole life. It's the reason why I live in Vegas, because manifestation is real. You are a god. You are now God. Shout out to Young Universe. Ye are as gods. Okay. You are created in the image of God and the Elohim, so that you can cast your intentions, align them with the will of God. May his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's literally as above, so below. Quite literally. Okay. So I'm just amazed at y'all development. I think this is going to really just prove to you how much you've grown. And by the time we start this, you will have effectively begun the process of activating this new lifestyle, activating this new behavioral pattern. What is the way you behave in this new life? And also, it will effectively sow the seeds for you to activate supernatural techniques that put together these new qualities of your power and ability. So this is where it's all going to make real sense. That being said, as we move forward, the moon in Virgo will trine Uranus. All right. Tap into the innovation with which previously in Taurus it reminded you of. It's going to oppose Saturn and Neptune, so that you understand what about your beliefs must match in the way you are continuing to behave. The power starts when the moon goes into Libra over Venus, a newly expressed Venus in Libra, you're going to understand how much swag you have dripping effortlessly. I just said that, I know. And this is going to manifest at 30 degrees from 13 degrees Virgo, the potency, the balance, the expression of this behavior. So the Taurus signature of this is going to manifest the power of this new magic. By the way, new moon in Gemini, new moon in Virgo, new moon in Sag, new moon in Pisces, we're activating new magic, new perspectives. In Virgo, a critical perspective. So you must trust in the magic of new beginnings. The moon in Libra is going to manifest that magic through giving you a social balanced understanding of how it is our behavior impacts relationships with others. How must we now balance my interpersonal reactions with others based on these new habits that I want to integrate socially in my relationships? And that's where Venus is going to put some game on you and really, really polish and give you an insight of what this habit is worth. We do see the trine of Jupiter that will take this expansion of mindset and apply it towards to how you will be manifesting this balance and habits. Then we have the third stage of activation here with the moon in Scorpio that's going to intensify and transform the attitude around these habits relative to Virgo of analysis and Scorpio of psychoanalysis. So this is going to give you a deep understanding, being receptive to the wisdom around how you are activating mastery of these techniques. What we want to see, regardless, through this is the opposition to Saturn, one of the boss battles. This opposition with the Sun and Saturn is the most important part of this transit, because now we have finally marked the harvest and fulfillment of God's promise on your life. This is what makes this final integration arc part 1, because part 2 is next year when we have this opposition, but this time at the end of both Virgo and Pisces. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is the bitterness, the envy, and the hatred that those who have lived a lie their whole life have been projecting on you, who living in truth naturally exposes them without you having to point a finger at them. Most of these people worship Satan. They may not ever say the word Satan or Lucifer, but they live against truth. So on a vibrational spiritual level, they pick problems with you. They give you attitude. I'm not talking about in a sense where you are out of integrity and you have done them wrong. You call yourself out on that. You know you don't do that. These false gods do not like the way that your light exposes their demons. And so take that concept collectively in the sense where you don't even have to know these people physically. There's someone across the world whose vibration opposes your vibration, and the nature of how frequencies travel, they will clash non-locally. You're going to pick up on that as a weird feeling. Now take that and multiply it by thousands, if not millions. This is going to be that metaphysical, unconscious sense of shadow that you feel within your own subconscious, that you will shadow box with your own soul and mind relative to the psychic attack you process. For some of you, that's going to be quite literally direct, with people throwing black magic and juju at you. And for others of you, this is going to really just be the collective effect of negativity you feel as a result of your own frequency. So are these demons going to leave? They're only going to leave because you slay them. And then a thing to think about demons, when demons leave your home, they come back with 6 or 7 more powerful ones. So when you make that demon leave, you have to fortify your home to make sure you don't have habits that, of course, allow them to come back. You can even look at demons as an analogy for parasites, right? And this is where we get into the psychology of evil. Evil is really just an imbalanced character. And so, what really influences what will lead someone to evil is how imbalanced their habits and their patterns are, right? Normally, people who fall to evil have habitual patterns that, of course, go against the balance of their psyche, go against more so or less anything healthy, which is why Virgo is hygiene, right? So, horrible, disgusting, negative habits open that doorway to be possessed. Open that doorway for your home to be invaded by temptation, by, of course, negative habits. I'm not talking about people who your habits go against their religious beliefs and so they label you evil, even though you can demonstrate the efficacy of your habit. I'm not talking about that. These are things that you will bear the fruit, which will prove all that bullshit wrong. And that's what's going to make this an epic showdown. You have people who are bitter, who have been preying on your downfall just so they could be right about what they believe. Oh, that's why you're going to hell. Your Christian faith evokes for you to witness to people so you won't be like the prodigal son's brother asking the father, why are you celebrating him? Boy, your son is back. You better enjoy this. Right? Like, you're not like a lot of people aren't not Christian. A lot of people are not really what they profess their faith to be. They just want to be right. They practice a form of godliness that is really not godly at all. So this is where the effects of what you have been developing yourself are coming at a full head to this collective doubt, but also to the integrity of beliefs that you've activated since, you guessed it, March. This is what we've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Go watch my videos that I posted back in March of 2024. If you watch any transit talks around that period, especially the Venus and the Mars one, the Mercury one, if you watch the monthly peace report, this was where we activated God's promise in our life. And the reason why this is important is we did not have this Sun-Saturn conjunction. Last year, Saturn had just barely entered Aquarius. We had the conjunction in Aquarius. So this was the first year we had this in Pisces since 30 years, since 1995. Pause for dramatic effect. And so with that being said, now that we move 6 months ahead, this is the very first 180-degree harvest of the sun. Venus had already made it through. Mercury is going to follow it. So our heart, which has began to fulfill its promise, now our awareness is being aware of how we've polished these receipts, and now how we are beginning from 180 degrees to harvest the dream, the wishes, and the beliefs you had. In March, you had beliefs that coming into June, you began to integrate. You began to, in June, think, okay, I think this is how I can make this belief real. March, you decided, I believe I can be who I want to be. I believe that I can live the greatest life. Then June came through and you started to integrate thoughts that support this belief. Oh yeah, I'm limitless. I have an unlimited amount of anything, son. Don't even play with me. And now Virgo season, you're starting to harvest this awareness of how you are actually living that. Okay. And don't worry, you will be guided. As long as you are maintaining integrity of these beliefs and you're not allowing circumstances to have you fall off. The only reason why you should change these beliefs is because you're seeing evidence that they don't have any basis in reality or there's no integrity of it. Then you're changing. And you don't even have to do that. If you want to have, beliefs that aren't in integrity, that's your decision. That's your choice. But for those of you who want to actually experience the real magic, this is a major reality check where now everything, the totality of everything that involves your beliefs, that is real, you're going to be aware of this. moving forward as we are activating the pure understanding of what techniques we are mastering. Cool. This is what's now going to lead into the moon in Sag. Now, this moon in Sag is very important because it sets up one of the most important mutable crosses we will have of the year. First of all, right now, the moon is opposite this in Gemini. So everything we're understanding the true mastery of, we're now going to synthesize the deeper meaning, the hidden meaning of this mastery, the hidden meaning of critique. So we're understanding the truth of what this technique is. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to see into the meaning of the technique because we've activated and began to express it. All right. Very, very key. This is where the sun will begin to square Jupiter. So first, we're having a 180-degree harvest with this Saturn opposition, which is going to take 6 months worth of activating and integrating beliefs and basically making them real. This is what you have been waiting for. All right. Then we're going to have the 90-degree integration between the sun and Jupiter, which is going to begin to break through the ground, new mindsets you began to have end of May into June. We had Jupiter in Taurus, Venus in Taurus, activating the natural quality of this evolution. Now that we're evolving our mindset, we now have to make sure that our habits account for how much more evolved we think. All right. And thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are freaking amazing. All right. So this is where you're going to experience a major level of this game changer from now over the next 2 weeks. By the time we come into 2 weeks from now, you're going to start to see the effects and meanings of how it is you're making all this real. And you're already going to start to experience it now. But that's just to get you excited here. Mars is going to go retrograde later. All right. But Uranus will be retrograde by this period. I think Jupiter will be retrograde soon too. But this mutable cross is going to really show you how everything is changing and leveling up. Okay. So by the time we come into that square, coming into the 13th, and the moon is in Capricorn, this is going to be huge. This is going to be the first 90-degree point of integration. That means everything up until this point was just activation. Since what? Since the 0-degree point of activation that we had, of course, in Taurus. Venus, Sun, Uranus, Jupiter. Okay. Boom. We activated. And this is the first time since then where it's 90 degrees. All right. Certain reflections here due to the bitterness being projected at you is the dynamic of people wanting to ridicule you, engaging in peer pressure and ad hominem statements where they're stupid as well as being a little bitch. So they're not really going to have the intellect to challenge your logic. The best they can do is childish stuff like mocking what you say, preaching to a choir. They don't have the courage to speak to you, so they're going to speak behind your back. And what is going to be evident here is that you can't fuck with God's anointed. So that doesn't work on people like you. The inability for them to engage with you in integrity, which is the Saturn lesson, is going to give you the W in a competition that you never made winner or loser. They did. So they made it about winning and losing, and they lost. So now they're very bitter towards you. And now they're going to project on you that you're the issue of the problems they're having instead of really looking in the mirror and having integrity. This is going to be really intense because you are playing your hand in changing a lot of status quo and what was originally seen as acceptable, or now what is seen as acceptable because of the integrity with which you're facilitating this. And this is going to represent more turning point than ever in this process of psychic attack, where now the smallest of movements you make are triggering these people even more, because someone who is secure within themselves will not be threatened by you living in truth. But someone who is so insecure is going to be threatened by everything you do because they live a lie. Okay. This is just science. So by the time that the moon enters Capricorn and now revisits this Pluto Capricorn moon awakening, you're coming into a hyper realized integration of newly defined habits and techniques, giving you a very practically awakened extreme understanding of how to use these new techniques with the full 27-degree retrograde innovation of your five senses and your ability to process and sense phenomena extra dimensionally, meaning outside of this vibration en route with use of your imagination. This right here is huge. Pluto, Sun, Uranus, opposite Neptune. This is what's going to create this augmented reality effect, helping you through what you can physically account for, sense beyond the physical. Then we're going to have the moon in Aquarius integration, sixth house to Virgo, which rules the sixth. This is what's going to integrate the knowledge of these new habits, how to know what it is, how you're doing. Okay. And then we're going to have, of course, which that square to Uranus is going to be very significant, and the trine, of course, to Venus and Jupiter, that's going to take this utilization and now have you be able to wrap your mind around how to begin to express this when we go into Libra season. Then, guys, we're going to have the full moon. Boom. This is going to be easily the most magical full moon of the year, next to probably the full moon in Gemini during Sagittarius season. That's also another contender at the end of the year. But by then, that's climax. This, I think, is really going to do it. So this is where, if the new moon on the 2nd of September is you sowing the seeds to actually master techniques, this full moon is where the montage is over. And so I will share one of my favorite stories. I don't mean to get sexual, but like, if you knew how real this was for me, like how I felt through this, it single-handedly like just changed the way I even respect cycles. It was a new moon in Virgo that I want to say 2022, if not 2023. I think it was 2022. And that new moon in Virgo, I was activating the mastery of a new technique. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought my finger technique was on point. Okay. And when I'm talking about the finger technique for any children watching, I'm talking about the finger technique where you finger your palm. And if you do it well enough, you stimulate your palm. Oh my God, that feels good. For any children watching, the finger technique is just stroking your palm just on the ground. And it's something adults do when they want to relieve their stress. When they want to relieve their stress, they'll just finger their palm and they'll just stroke their palm. And if you stroke it right enough, like you just release this like amazing, like, good feelings, because we're keeping it PG here. So that being said, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was good at the finger technique. I thought I could just put my fingers in there and just do whatever. And I got humbled and I realized, no, Michael, there's a level of strength, there's a level of finesse, and there's a level of technique that is needed. You can't just put it in under your fan and just expect, no. I thought it was that simple. Okay. And so over that 2 weeks, and that's what I experienced as. The first time during that new moon, I did not bring my palm to climax. You feel me? And I felt discouraged. I was like, is this it? I know I can do better than this. I was determined and I knew what it was. Yeah, no, I got to do pull-ups. That's another thing with that Tommy, you got, the better in shape you are, the better. It also taught me how to be in shape. And that's what Virgo is too. Routine, working out, exercise. And that's what I did. Da-da-da! New record. And what do you know, ladies and gentlemen? 2 weeks later, we reach the full moon. And I do the finger technique. And you know what happens? My palm climaxes and feels so much more relaxed, if you get my drift. And I felt a sense of accomplishment. And I learned it's not a race. You do got to take your time. You got to feel it. You got to feel it. You got to feel the rhythm. And I felt a sense of accomplishment that came with putting in the work to master a skill. Okay? And I remember what my life was before that, where it's like, damn, am I even going to pull this off? Am I going to be able to actually do this? I was having performance anxiety. But after that, okay, I walk with a different type of swag. It's like, what's up, boo? I got the fingers, I got the tongue, I got big D. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Now it's like, it went from will I be able to do it to how many times a week finna do. It's different. It's different. It's different. Okay. No, we mastered that too, fam. It did humble me. I do gotta be humble. See, and that's where there's levels to this. Now, compared to that, there's still more I still gotta master compared to that. But that was the year I mastered the finger technique. You feel me? And life has never been the same. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. That being said, that's why I'm very excited. I'm very excited as far as that's because I just need to get back in shape. I'm gonna get my body right this Virgo season, and then we good. I got the other fundamentals down kind of a little bit, but like, yeah. So I'm excited. I know. I know that. Yeah, I'm a late bloomer. I know that this next 2 weeks, starting from the 2nd to the 18th, this is going to have you master whatever you put your mind to. It is quite literally a montage, and you want to take advantage of it. You want to take advantage of it. Okay. You don't want to let this period go by and you're not working on something every day you want to improve on. And of course, it's a principle. We don't wait every Virgo season to work on. We do this every day, but this is a great season that in alignment with these cycles allows you to come into the most development within the shortest amount of time. It's not about speed or rushing it, but with these aspects, now, if we put in alignment that you're also integrating everything since 95, the last cycle, this is what throughout this next 3-week cycle is going to take everything you've ever learned in the nuances and levels and have you just completely, once again, you know what I mean? Like just master it at a much different level, Okay. So, with that being said, by the time we come into this full moon, you're coming into a totality of understanding the metaphysical, unseen influences around how it is you've mastered your techniques. You're understanding the beliefs that you have around how it is you live your life. Okay. Thank you. So what this is also going to prepare you to do is to show up on the I Told You So tour. So by this stage, you're harvesting all the receipts that are necessary for this showing. Now, just the way we started this cycle with the moon in Aries, now we have the proper moon in Aries aspect to the sun in Virgo. When we started this transit, we did not have the moon in Aries aspect the Virgo sun because it had already left Pisces before it entered Virgo. This is the first aspect that we're going to have this year. And this is where personally You're going to now 210 degrees transform your understanding of yourself. Well, because you've mastered new techniques that now coming into the moon in Taurus will revisit the strengthened quality realistically of how you're getting ready to stunt during the I told you so tour. By this point here, you're innovating with Uranus, the mastered natural quality of the mastery of your talents. And Mercury is going to catch up to your conscious awareness in Libra, while Venus is 29 degrees Libra, square Pluto 29 degrees, trying the Sun 29 degrees is the point of full mastery, ending the final integration of part one. So the way I want to think about this is March, we believed we could be a track star. And you started the eclipse in Aries season by going to your first track meet and watching people and being inspired to join track and field. Fast forward to now, we're going to have your first state official meet, Libra season. And Virgo season is the season you're practicing your triple jump. You're practicing your 200 meters. Mind you, you didn't even really know what triple jump was May. You had just started to buy the equipment. Now you're practicing, right? So the difference between this year and next year is that this year you're going to go on that state meet and you're going to represent your town, your state, your team, right? You're going to from then to January come into the results of that harvest, versus next year with the South Node in Virgo, you've already done a whole year doing track and field. You've had your track meet. You've known what victory or loss feels like. You've gotten to see where you rank relative to everyone else in your state or the world. And now with the South Node in Virgo, this is now revisiting, mastering how to run. But instead of doing a state meet, you're in the midst of track and field transforming forever. The way track and field is run, it's generational. It's something that's never happened before. It's departing from that old way where you guys may not even do meets on a track and field like usual, like some groundbreaking whatever. And I wish I can explain more without being helplessly vague, but that's the analogy that I feel I want to give you. So this is where do not sell yourself short and feel like you can't manifest the lifestyle this season because it's not realistic enough. You are realistic enough. I'm possible. So nothing's impossible. As long as you are possible, you will make it work. All right. For those of you who really want to do this, you will be guided by hand to Imagineer the lifestyle, literally opposite Pisces, your dreams. Your dreams. And by the time the sun now 180-degree harvest Neptune, you will moving through Libra on the I Told You So tour, be aware of how specifically you are actualizing the promise that God has on your life, the dream you have imagineered and co-created together. Okay. For those who serve two masters, they saw what was happening in their environment. They saw what other people were ridiculing and thinking about it, and they didn't believe in that dream anymore. They long since let it go. For those of you who know what's up and you know it wasn't just some imagination, it was you giving yourself the word, you're going to engineer this into reality in a short 30 days. And then by next year, you're going to cement it in destiny with the nodes. All right. So congratulations. Okay. Congratulations. The fact that you've made it here, the fact that you've made it to the second round of the Hunger Games, the fact that you have overcome difficulty in your own issues and challenges, the fact that you've overcome being jumped by the entire collective, all sorts of things makes up your character and says a lot about you. The supernatural abilities that you have awoken, you will come into more detailed analysis of the mechanics of how it works, when it works, the causality, the consistency, what accounts for more consistency with it. And it's just going to happen because you've already done the work. We're getting ready for harvest. And all you have to do is, as you come into more insight, just add repetition, consistency, and practice. There are new techniques, there are new strategies, and there are new abilities through this that will facilitate more mastery through consistency, and now transform your understanding of how you have been dealing with everything you've been dealing with. Heavy on the jumped by the collective. The dark side of the collective wants to keep you in the shadow of how it is you're even triggering these people or these forces. So it's like not keying you into your potential so they can maintain that advantage on you. Well, this Virgo season is going to reveal how it is you've been maintaining the advantage, and now they're going to lose that advantage. So you're going to feel more desperation. You're going to feel externally from other people and the vibe from other people more bitterness, more hatred. And I don't mean that in the sense where I want you to look at other people and be paranoid, because at most, real life other people, for we fight not against flesh and blood. Ephesians 6:12. At most, they're just a puppet for evil. They're just a flesh sack that's allowing narratives that have overwritten their logical function to regurgitate bullshit. It's never personal. Okay. Principalities, fallen angels, dark powers, these are the real forces you're fighting. And until we have in society the vocabulary to reflect that, these things will be relegated to fantasy, religion, and fictional narratives when they're realer than what we're experiencing. But don't let me tell you, you will experience this every single day through Virgo. Now, whatever words you decide to use for it, some people call it prayer, meditation, placebo effect, whatever you decide to call it, you are being called to practice what you preach, live it. That's it. Virgo is all about really living it. So, what is the lifestyle you really want to live? Begin now to really live it, and you will be guided on how to put in the work necessary. If there's really any work required, it's really as simple as just deciding I live it now and just maintaining integrity of that. I live it now, meaning I'm not going to complain if I lose money because I'm fucking rich. I just decided I'm wealthy. I don't care if I lose $2,000-$3,000. I get millions of dollars every day. And this is what I am incorporating in how it is I live my life, how it is I move forward. There's a delusional version of this. There's a more practical version of this. I like to veer more towards the delulu because it's just more fun. And you get to actually experience more magic that way, tricking your subconscious to now change its perception around what it's projecting in your real life experience. But to each their own. Other than that, I am so grateful for each and every single one of you. And once we reach this 29-degree point with the trine to Pluto, this is where shit's going to get beyond real. We're going to go on the I Told You So tour part 2, and we're going to get ready for the election cycle. So, like, as far as politics, see, why does money chase me? Ask formation. Like, why am I so fucking rich? Why does money always chase Craig? Like, just keep asking. You're going to get an answer for that. Trust me, you're going to start to see it. So, with that being said, as far as politics is concerned, as far as world events is concerned, with the proximity of Venus over the nodes, Lilith, and the opposition to Saturn and Neptune, all the psyops, all the bullshit, all the fear, all the propaganda, fully expected to start to begin to happen this year, this season, to prepare, of course, for Libra and Scorpio. But don't worry about that. That's all just to distract you. You're like a magician creating the life of your dreams. Have fun with this process. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot accomplish what it is you want to accomplish. Allow people to challenge your beliefs. Allow people to challenge your thoughts. The greatest thing that someone can do is to challenge what you believe, because you're in integrity. So you have no problem rising up to the challenge. The problem with this society is that more than ever, I don't know if it's more than ever, I think it's happened in the past too, but people are just so sensitive that if you challenge their beliefs and thoughts, you're automatically hateful towards them. When that's the job of Virgo. Virgo's going to give you constructive criticism. Hey, this song is ass. I think maybe you can master it a little better. Oh, you're a hater. You don't believe in my dreams. When it's like, look, I'm allowed to have my thoughts and ideas challenged. I don't have to believe in that critique, but I'm secure in myself. So if someone trashes what I do, right, I won't think questions are transphobic. You know what I mean? Like, I can point out criticism that is non-constructive, and I can point out criticism that's constructive. But sword sharpens sword and iron sharpens iron. So, like, you want people to challenge your beliefs this season so that you can put it to the test and be like, nah, I'm really about it. Who says astrology isn't real? Let me read your chart right now. Well, who says psychic ability isn't real? How come I predicted this? How come I predicted this? Here's more receipts. I predicted this too. So like and if someone is able to prove me wrong that maybe that was just a coincidence or bias, I learned something new. I go back to the drawing board and I either patch up this theory to prove it more, or I realize that I'm wrong and then I can move forward. Being wrong is not a bad thing because you get to be that much closer to truth. But what you're going to realize is that the integrity you've established since March is going to ensure that you're not wrong. You are right. You are not only in the right, you are living it. And this is going to change the lives of other people around you as well. You guys stay blessed as always. For those of you who would like a live reading, you can click the description box below. The minimum, of course, for that is, let's see, I believe $30. So for those of you who want, an insight about the chart, I got you. Kara, I see you sent me a Venmo. Thank you very much. We know that your rising is in Cancer. And this is what I love. As a Cancer rising with the Aries sun, as cardinal signs, the mutable aspect is going to be perceptual. So as a Cancer rising, for you Cancer risings, Virgo is going to hit your third house of attitude and behavior. So you're activating the integration of behavioral attitudes. I just made that up. But that being said, thank you, Sean, as a sun in Aries, Virgo is 150 degrees of integration to you. So you're going to be aware, okay, of the integration of newly defined abilities, newly activated techniques in the third house in Cancer, that as an Aries sun, you will build consistency around how it is you develop this new mindset, the new attitude around your routine, the new behavior around these new attitudes. So it gives you the best of both worlds in a way. And this is, of course, going to have you perfect and master how everything you've worked on yourself since April in really establishing this new direction in your career. And in July, your new home. This is going to allow you to integrate that socially, be more at home with this new environment, and to go out into the neighborhood and to see how it is you're able to really express this level of evolution, especially with Jupiter in your 12th house from the Cancer rising, right? This is definitely going to challenge old beliefs around how you think about unconscious habits, which will be made more visible by how it is the evolution of old doubts you've outgrown are making room for new attitudes in your interpersonal relationships, as this is going to prepare you for the eclipse, of course, with the Libra powers. So anyway, that's what I got. Once again, you guys are dope. I can see myself segueing from this. I'm going to record Astro 102, by the way, the course, and then I'll make the free video and version to upload on YouTube. So you guys can expect that, if not this week, for sure next week. And I'll look to get 103 done too. So you guys could look forward to that. By the way, I do have Astro 101 available on my website for $9.99. I also do have it on the channel if you want to watch the OG version for free. Okay. That being said, you guys stay blessed as always. I hope you make the most of this Virgo season. Let me remind you, you can live the life you want to live. Imagine it, believe it, think it, see it, live it. That's it. Don't make any excuses and just allow yourself to be guided by your own self and the universe around you, with which we are all a body part of. We are all part of the body of Christ. So with that being said, I just hope you're excited to see the development of everything you've been mastering and perfecting. By the time this season is not even close to over, but over, you will have supernatural powers and abilities that you will have mastered and can do at will. And that's what's going to prepare you for Libra season, where now it's time to present it. It's time to find other members of your team. It's time to actually use these mastered abilities in order to, of course, prepare for this next era. And until next time.